All right. I think we're live, guys. At least it's saying we are. And so we'll go ahead. We're gonna do a guys' night. There's no ladies here tonight, folks. We're glad that you're joining in with us now, whether that be by, huh? Then we'll introduce the lady that comes in late.
Okay.
We'll do that. Okay. The late lady. Yeah, that's right. And so, but I like singing regardless of who's here, but we're going to sing a song together now. So let's all sing together. A common love for each other, a common gift to the Savior, a common bond holding us to the Lord, a common strength when we're weary, a common hope for tomorrow, a common joy in the truth of God's word. All right. Yeah, we do want to thank folks that are joining in by Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram right now. And if you want to leave us a little message, let us know where you're watching from. Thank you. We'd appreciate that. And we'll go in and get started tonight. Maddox, glad you made it back tonight. And I'm going to let you swallow that chip, and I'm going to let you lead us in opening prayer tonight. That's when we get started.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us all to come together here and just worship you today, Lord. And thank you for letting us just get together and just have fun and talk and just go closer to you. And please start everyone as they're finishing up school and just exams are starting, and just Jesus and pray, amen.
Amen. Appreciate it. In the book of Matthew, for the past, how long, Staley? Forever.
Sophomore year. It's been over a year.
We are. I know it, guy. I keep wanting to say, guys, we've got 8 chapters to go, and only a few weeks to get it done in. But it's been a good study. I think it's been good for all of us here, and so I also duplicate this when I go to the retirement home out at the Bridge Retirement Home on Wednesdays, and one lady out there said, "I hope you finish this before I die." Like, okay, I didn't know what to do on that one, so I told her, I said, "Just don't die, then we'll finish it." But it's good. We're in chapter 20 tonight. Again, studying this, looking at this from the eyes of Matthew. Matthew is now the apostle. He's not just the disciple, the follower of Jesus. He is now the apostle with Jesus Christ. And he's seeing the next level of things taking place. Jesus in Matthew 18:19 gets more into personal living spaces of people, talking to them around. Specifically, he's getting around the Pharisees, and he's talking to them about how they live their lives. Last week we talked a little bit about the fact of what he expects in marriages, and Jesus comes up and says, "Look, God doesn't want you to divorce." That's basically what he said. Then he talked to the little children were coming up to him, and the apostles come up to him again and say, don't leave Jesus alone. And Jesus does a reminder, which goes back to around chapter 16, where the children come to him again. And he says, "Except you be as a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." It's a reminder. Why is it that Jesus uses children so much? Matthew, why do you think Jesus uses children so much?
Because they're just so pure. Because they don't know. Like, it's like when people say you're old enough to know between the right and wrong. They're not. They don't know what they're doing.
Right. He sees the innocence of their hearts. We discussed a little bit about this last week, the pureness of their hearts. And in that pureness of his heart, Jesus says, "That's the way I want you to be." Now, quick question on that part. Does Jesus believe we can do that?
Yeah.
Okay. If he didn't believe it, why would he tell us to be that way? Jesus doesn't give us false expectations, I don't believe. I believe he gives us, I believe he gives us realistic things. All right, let's go to chapter 20. Let's look at this. Got a long part on the very front end there, going into the field. Somebody read for me, please, verses 1 through 8 for me.
For the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for a denarius, or a denarii, I guess, a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And going out about the third hour, he saw others standing idle at the marketplace. And to them he said, You go into the vineyard too, and whatever I give, or whatever is right, I will give you. So they went. Going out again about the 6th hour and the 9th hour, he did the same. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing, and he said to them, Why do you stand here idle all day? They said to him, Because no one has hired us. He said to them, You go into the vineyard too. And when evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, Call the laborers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last up to the first.
Okay, so simple thing. He's talking to farmers. He's talking about farmers. All right, he's talking about farmers. He's giving them some basic thing about hiring processes. Okay, this is what we would look at as a hiring process. Goes out early in the morning, says, "Hey, need some guys to come to work in the vineyard." They get in, they go to work. A few hours later, comes back, gathers another bunch. Gets out later in the afternoon after probably most of the work's been done, and still see some guys hanging around, and goes, "Hey, you guys need to come work too." Yeah, we kind of need a job. And guess what? Y'all come on too. They go out, they're working the day. They're working the day through. Getting to the end of the day. Now then, somebody read for me the last part of it, verses 9 through 16.
And when those hired about the 11th hour came, each of them received a denarius. Now, when those first hired came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received a denarius. And on receiving it, they grumbled at the master of the house, saying, These last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat. But he replied to one of them, Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give this to this last worker as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity? So the last will be first, and the first will last.
So the complainer, what's he saying?
Why do they get paid the same as us when we did way more work?
That we did make way more work, but what's he really saying? If you wanted to be the whiny kid, what would you say?
That's not fair.
Thank you. That ain't fair. That ain't fair. I worked all day long. And then, but what does the worker, the leader say? I don't care. he said, didn't you agree to pay? I agreed to pay you a denarius, right? And you agreed upon that. All right. It'd be like if I brought you here to the house and said, "Hey, look, I'm going to pay each of y'all $20 for the next 3 hours work as we go out here in the back to clean up the yard." All right. We're going to move some limbs and stuff out of there. I'm going to pay each one of you $20 when we get. So y'all get here at 9 o'clock in the morning and y'all work till 10, 11. You get to about till 10:30 and then Cannon shows up late. And so, oh, I'm glad to see you tonight, Cannon. And Cannon shows up at 10:30 and Cannon comes to work too. And I give all of you $20 and I give Cannon $20 too. What are you going to say, Carson? Matthew's going to take it. It's not fair. He didn't work that long. You think it's fair? Well, when an agreement is made, right? It's about agreement. It's about listening. Why does Jesus have this parable? Why does he tell this parable? What's the deal with it? What's he talking about? He sums up something at the very end of it and says this. He says, the last will be first and the first will be last, but many are called, but few are chosen. What do you think? Why do you think he's talking to this group in parables? First of all, who's in the audience again? It's Pharisees. It's the multitude of people. It's people that are followers of Jesus. It's people that have been following all in. But have all of those people been following him the entire time? So, can you imagine someone saying to Jesus, well, hey, Jesus, I was there from the Sermon on the Mount, and I've been following you ever since the Sermon on the Mount. That's me. I'm your number one man. And then there's someone here when he's talking to this parable, it's his first time to hear Jesus talk. Is it not fair for him to get to know who Jesus is and to be a follower of Jesus? Is that not fair? Well, according to what these people, the workers would be saying ain't fair. He ain't known you as long. I think Matthew could have pitched a fit. Not you, Matthew, the one that's now the apostle. Because Matthew doesn't even become apostle till later on in the book. He's a follower. He's a disciple. And he's not even called until around chapter 7, chapter 8. He's not even called to be, and, but was Jesus testing him? I don't think so. I don't think Jesus was testing him all. I think he had just to wait his time to be what he's going to do. But they didn't care. These people didn't care. These people, in this story that they're talking about here, these workers, Jesus didn't care when you came to work. Jesus has said, I'm glad you came to work. And the reward is the same. So question, do you think there are people today that act like these early workers when it comes to serving the Lord? I think it is. I think it's there. Because we think we have some sort of special privilege because we follow the Lord 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, our life. Does it really matter when someone comes to follow the Lord? I think the point is we need to be people to come follow him. And it doesn't matter who that person is. And so now folks can't see you tonight, Dale, but we're glad to have Dale Jenkins with us tonight, but I'm going to pick on him in a moment. You've had this happen. A person walks off the street into your church building, walks down front and wants to become a Christian, right? Why would someone want to turn a person like that away? But there would be people who say, wait a minute, whoa. They can't do that. Right? What have you done in a situation like that? But not here, not these workers.
You see it in the church sometimes. People, we had a guy at church I preached at one time that his granddad had built the control room in the church building in the 40s.
Okay.
And he did not want any changes made to it.
Wow.
He had been there this whole time. His granddad had built it, no changes. They didn't want any technology upgrade or anything because it belonged to him because it was he'd been there longer.
Right.
And that can happen in churches. Well, I was here when this congregation started. I have more of a say than this person over here. That's not what the text says.
That's not what it says. When they come, and it's not our business. I mean, the vine keeper, the person that Jesus is talking about here, that's him. And who gets to make that decision? God does. Jesus does. And I really like it when he said, I'm doing you no wrong. Did you not agree to work with me for a denarius or a certain amount of money? Take what's yours and go on your way I wish to give this to this last man who came to you. And then he says, is it not lawful? That's a poke at the Pharisees. That's a poke at the Pharisees. Is it not lawful for me to do what I want to do with my own things? Don't I have that right? Well, the answer is, yeah, you do.
I don't think of vine dressing as I've ever done it. I think of putting up hay.
Oh,
And, you got
Yeah.
It's gonna rain.
yeah,
You get the hay up. You got all the work you can get, and they can't get it done. You go back to more workers, they can't get it done.
right.
And it's just an hour till it starts raining. You're gonna get more. Those workers are just as important as the first workers you hired because they're the ones that help get it done.
Exactly.
And that we relate maybe more to something.
Right.
we-
Well, it's the matter of getting the job done. And that's what Jesus is saying. We got a lot of work to do. And we hear you hear a phrase sometimes, it's an old phrase saying the fields are white unto the harvest. That's an old phrase meaning, look, there's the world is all around us is looking for people to come and do work. And that's what Jesus is looking for us to do. Now, those of us in this room right here, maybe many of those that are listening tonight, it's important for us to be working now and pulling other workers in too. We need to be pulling other workers in. So Jesus gets into that. Let's bump on to the next thing, verses 17 through 19. Someone read that for me.
And as Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside, and on the way he said to them, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and deliver him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified, and he will be raised on the third day."
This is the third time, according to Matthew, that Jesus talks about this. He takes the 12 this time. He's got those 12 men there. I wonder if they're finally getting it yet. You know, Jesus is talking about, I'm going to go die. All right. And I'm telling you, these are the people that will be doing it to me. And of course, then we'll get later on into the latter part of the book when this actual, all this stuff actually starts occurring. But again, you put yourself in the 12 shoes right now. And you're sitting there, and Jesus has now come to you for the third time and said, look, read what he says again. Look, we're going up to Jerusalem. The Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priest. And by the way, who's one of those 12? Who's the betrayer? Judas. And so Jesus already knows that it's Judas. And Judas has already been an individual part of the 12 that hasn't been the most best of characteristics at this time. So Jesus is already planting the seed. You've heard this 3 times from Jesus. What's your thoughts? This is the third time where he says, look, I'm fixing to go die. What's your thoughts?
Gonna start thinking about it more. I'm not gonna think of it as some offhand thing at this point.
Why does he keep talking about this? You know, I think what do you think maybe the first time you kind of just blow it off?
I think it
But-
might be some kind of parable, have some other meaning.
Yeah. All right, so no. But the second time he says it, you kind of go, okay, why'd you bring this up? Now this is the third time. And by the way, this is the final time before the actions happen. Now then it goes back to what you said. What's going to happen? I mean, what's literally going to happen? From this point, I think we see a difference in the 12. Because now I think at this point, the 12 start getting it. They start getting the point, okay. They already know him as the what? The Messiah. They know it. If they know him as the Messiah, what do they know about Old Testament prophecies? The Messiah's going to die. They know these stories. They know these stories. These are not some guys that are just not dumb when it comes to prophecies. They know it. Some of them went to Jewish schools. But now they're like, okay, Jesus, this is the third time you brought this up. Why? I think it's really weird, though, when you look at how Matthew places this in his book. because this is just a random spot. Because we go from talking about a parable of the vineyard, setting people up, people coming to work, people coming, and then he goes, oh yes, by the way, Jesus told us again he's going to die. He took us all off and he told us he's going to die. Now what happens in the next section of passages there? Then he says, then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to him with her sons. We're in verse 20. And says, kneeling down, asking something from him. He said to her, what do you wish? Oh, what do you want? She said to him, grant that these two sons of mine may sit on your right hand and the other one on your left in your kingdom. And then Jesus answered, said to her, you don't know what you're asking. You able to drink the cup that I'm about to drink? Be baptized with the baptism I'm about to be baptized with? And they said to him, we're able. Let's stop right there. Jesus talks about the baptism. He ain't talking about water baptism right here. He's talking about dying. All right. Zebedee's, this is whose mama's come to him? James and John. James and John's mama comes up. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So this is the very, very thing going back to that parable of the vineyard. My boys have been with you all this time. I want you to put one on the right hand and one on the left hand. You good for this, boys? Yes, sir. We're good for this. No, you're not. That's what Jesus says. You're not good for this because you're not capable to be baptized with the baptism I'm fixing to be baptized with. Now then, back in their mind, they're going, well, we saw you. We know you talk about baptism like that. No, he goes, different one. Go back to what I just told you. I'm going to be beaten. I'm going to be flogged. I'm going to be persecuted. Are you willing to be able to go through that? Now then, is it what you call, moment. Oh, that's what you're talking about all along. He said to them, you will indeed drink my cup, and you will be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with. But to sit on the right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it's for those whom it is prepared for by my Father. So you're asking for this hierarchy. I ain't got a right to give that. You're going to be baptized with the same baptism I'm with. Yeah, you're baptized by water, but they're also going to be baptized by persecutions. They're going to be baptized with beatings. And by the way, how do these guys die? Well, John is the only one that doesn't die a persecuted death. And I still think that he died a persecuted death by being placed in exile. Because there's nothing worse than dying alone. And that's how he did. He died. When the 10 heard it, they were greatly displeased with them. Okay. Remember the parable back a little bit. Jesus called them to himself. You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord over them, those who are great exercise authority over them. Yet it will not be so among you. For whoever desires to become be great among you, let him be your servant. Whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave. Then, he says, just like the Son of Man, he says, just like me, just like I have done. I didn't come to be served, but I came to serve and, conjunction word, to give his life a ransom for many. Jesus kind of sets the story straight there. It ain't about being some sort of hierarchy. That's the Judaism kicking in there too, thinking power here on earth, power, and that's, get all that, the ruler, the king, the ruler, and all that. That's not what it's about. It's about living every day as a servant, serving one another. And that's what Jesus did. In your opinion, what's the greatest service that you saw Jesus do when you read the text? In your opinion, what's your greatest thing you've seen Jesus serve?
That time when, I don't remember when it was, but
Okay.
he was like, he went out to be alone and the crowd followed him.
Yeah.
And he just instantly gave them what they wanted
Right.
instead of leaving.
When he was at his tiredness wore out, he gave more. Somebody else.
The humility to wash his killers.
Yes, the humility to sit down and wash his killer's feet or the betrayer's feet. Anybody else? You got one? Staley?
I think I'm tied between him talking and like forgiving the Samaritan woman, or when he healed the like Roman guard servant. Those two are those are kind of tied just because of like the context between just the Jewish like man and the Jewish and Galilean man being Jesus interacting with a Samaritan and a Roman.
And a Roman. Yeah. When you start seeing that, you kind of get why Jesus was really here. Jesus was here for everybody. Hence that last passage that says he is here to give his life a ransom. That's pretty neat. I'm gonna wrap this up right here, right now, for the guys online for a second. When this world around us understands what Jesus did, the world can change. And it doesn't matter where a person is in their life. Jesus died for them. They can be the biggest mass murderer in the world. They can be the biggest hater in the world. Jesus still died for them. Does he care? Yeah, he cares. He cares about the souls that God gave him to come back home. And that's what he wants. He wants every soul to come back home. Well, we're going to thank the folks for watching tonight. We appreciate it a lot. We're going to sign off with you folks right now, and then we're going to come back in here and have a little bit more discussion with our guys here. So I'm trying to think of, we'll sing one more song, okay? Guys only. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God.